I want to thank the panel, which I will introduce in a second. My partner, Senator Leahy, is on the floor managing the bill, Justice for Human Trafficking bill, and he will try to get here, but that is a responsibility that he needs to implement. I want to acknowledge Senator Leahy and his longtime staff director and partner in appropriations, Tim. Senator Leahy is well known throughout the world for being a champion of human rights. The Leahy Amendment is one of the probably most well-known provisions in our law. And I know that Senator Leahy shares my concern about what's going on with religious persecution, but just the general deterioration of world order. So I will introduce our panel just in a second, but I'd like to make a brief statement if I could. I've been asked by a lot of people in South Carolina and throughout the country, what's going on in the world? They see on television things that they cannot believe exist in 2015. This is not 1015, this is 2015. And as I speak, people are being crucified, people are being burned alive, they're being beheaded, and their only offense is that they have a different religious perspective than the radical Islamists who are trying to purify their faith, who are commanded by God under their view of religion to kill or convert every Christian they can find, to destroy the state of Israel, destroy everything that we hold sacred and dear, thousands of years of art being smashed with a sledgehammer, women being raped and sold into captivity and taken as trophies of war because in their religious interpretation or view, they can do so. This hearing is the first in a long journey I will take along with my colleagues to shed light on what I think is one of the most barbaric periods in modern history. And if America doesn't shed this light, who will? The beauty of our Constitution and our way of life is that we have bought into a simple construct. I will insist on worshiping God or not at all upon my terms, and I will convey that same right to you. That's the way it works in America. And the people we're fighting, ISIL and other associated groups, have one of the darkest views of religion and humanity of anyone since the Nazis. As the Nazis pursued a master race, these radical Islamic groups are pursuing a master religion. And it is up to us, the good people of the world, not the perfect people of the world, but the good people of the world, to do something about it. And it's going to take force of arms, but it's going to take more than that. It's going to take the moral authority that comes with our cause, speaking without equivocation and acting on our words. So this is 2015, and it's hard to believe that we find ourselves where we do. The internal struggle between good and evil is alive and well today. Let it be said that we chose the path of good. Here's a quote from Martin Niemöller, I think is his name. I hope I didn't butcher his name. Very famous Protestant pastor who emerged as an outspoken public critic of Adolf Hitler and spent the last 7 years of Nazi rule in a concentration camp. Pastor Niemöller is best remembered for a quote that goes something like this. First they came for the socialist, and I did not speak out, because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. Let us remember that good counsel and advice and speak out before they come for us. Because what they will do to people of religious differences in the Mideast, they will do to us. As to the Christian community in the Mideast, they're not the only one being oppressed by any means, but I think they're the canary in the coal mine. One of the oldest religious minorities in the Mideast. The Yazidis and other religious minorities are suffering mightily. And this hearing today is to shed light on what we are doing, what we can do, and what we should do, and how to do more of it. So to my colleagues who are in attendance, thank you. We have a terrific panel, and at this time I would like to introduce our panel. Ambassador David Saperstein, the Ambassador at Large for International Religious Freedom at the Department of State. Tony Perkins, President of the Family Research Council. Jay Sekulow, Chief Counsel at the American Center for Law and Justice. And Bishop Oscar Cantu, Bishop of the Las Cruces, New Mexico, and Chairman of the Committee on International Justice and Peace, U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops. Thank you all for being in attendance, and I look forward to your testimony. And Bishop, we will start with you. Before I ask questions, and we'll get started here now, I want to put in context the dilemma we have as a nation. As these atrocities increase, as religious persecution runs rampant, as genocide is on display, we and most of the free world are beginning to reduce our military capabilities to historic lows. I have never seen more organizations with the capability, manpower, weapons, and will, radical Islamic organizations, ready to attack us here at home than I have any time before 9/11. This problem is getting worse, not better, and the Congress has got to find a way to fix sequestration. We'll have the smallest Army since 1940, the smallest Navy since 1915, a Marine Corps, I know, Mr. Perkins, that you care much about, can only do one contingency at a time. And all I can say, Bishop, you can't solve this problem militarily alone, but if you don't have a capable military, you're never going to solve this problem. These people will not be negotiated with. They will not be convinced to abandon their ways. They have to be captured or killed. And once they're captured or killed, you've got to rebuild the communities they've destroyed. So we're in for a generational struggle. The President is right about that. This account is about 1% of the budget. It's the foreign assistance account. It's the account that everybody likes to showcase as if you just got rid of this account, we wouldn't have to do the other things to balance the budget. This account is subject to a lot of demagoguery. Why are we building schools and roads over there when we need them here at home? We do have a budget problem here at home. We do need better schools and roads here at home. But my belief is that if we're not involved over there constructively, it's just a matter of time before they come here. So to all of you, thank you for coming today and shedding light on this problem and supporting this account. I'm a conservative Republican. Senator Leahy is on the other side of the aisle. We're trying to get our colleagues to stop sequestration regarding this account because our ability to protect embassies and consulates are going to be compromised as our diplomats serve in harm's way. Our ability to provide developmental aid, refugee assistance is going to be gutted. At a time when we need this account to supplement the military, because, Bishop, you're right, it's not just about killing people who are terrorists, it's about building up those who would fight back. And the good news is that most people in the region are not buying what these guys are selling. Most fathers do not want to give them their daughters. All things being equal, The Christian community in Syria has thrived until this recent event. Same is true in Iraq. The Mideast is going through a transformation as to who should govern and how they should govern. Young people are demanding more rights. They're refusing to live into dictatorships for our convenience, and I don't blame them. There's a fight for the heart and soul of Islam. This is a religious war, and we need to take sides. I will take side with those in the faith that will allow me to live peacefully and coexist peacefully. Our goal is to build those people up over there who will take the fight to the radical Islamist so they don't come here. That is a labor-intensive effort far beyond military might. America needs to understand, in my view, that this is a generational struggle, that we will have troops forward deployed for the rest of my life and beyond to keep this problem from getting back here. And if we do not invest in building up the communities they're destroying, it will repeat itself over and over again. Please understand how this ends. We win, they lose. The only thing unknown is how many people must die between now and then. My view is that sooner we can bring about their demise, the safer we are here. It will save lives, it will save money. And wishing it away and hoping that it would stop is not going to work. So this is one hearing in a series of efforts by the Congress to look ourselves in the mirror and accept some responsibility for this and try to do better. Mr. Ambassador, are you adequately resourced given the challenge you have? And if not, what do you need that you don't have?
I don't know any office that works so diligently as I see in the State Department, and I'm sure it's true in the other bureaus as well, that can't use more resources. We have a very strong staff. I am day in and day out really impressed with the staff.
I mean, aren't you overwhelmed? I mean, this problem is getting worse, not better.
We absolutely are. We have to cover the entire globe, 199 countries. It's different than most ambassadors who have daunting challenges covering the single countries that they must cover. If I had additional resources, we are structured currently the way much of the State Department is, on a regional basis with expertise in different regions, including the Near East region, as I talked about. There are special projects I'd love to run. Projects on addressing blasphemy laws, which are and conversion laws, which are so important. The role of religious freedom in national security and counterterrorism.
Because we're running out of time, could you provide me and the committee sort of a wish list, realizing you can't have everything you want, but really prioritize what you need that you don't have so that we can make you more effective? Could you get that to us, please?
I would do that. Allow me just to add that the great fear of good people at the State Department ever answering that question is we don't want it to come at other vital functions in the State Department.
I got that. You can't rob Peter to pay Paul, and that gets us to the bishop. How, because you used that phrase.
Am I Peter or Paul?
Yeah, you choose. You're a man of God, and we're glad to have you. So the bottom line is, how does an NGO successfully operate in the security environment that exists today in Syria and Iraq?
Well, very carefully and working with the local organizations there. With Caritas Iraq has been tremendously helpful. They know the area, they know the culture, and the wonderful people of Catholic Relief Services operating in Kurdistan have wonderfully employed those tremendously talented young students who fled Mosul. And so they now have at least...
So you feel like there is some security anyway?
There is. While I was visiting there in the region, I never felt a lack of security.
That's good. Could you, very briefly, I don't want to go over too long here, could you inform the American people, based on what you've seen on the ground, what awaits the world to reconstruct these communities? Is it a massive effort that we're going to have to undertake?
Absolutely, and that's, as I sat down with the local bishops there, the Archbishop of Erbil, he asked most urgently for aid, for humanitarian aid, for development, and for a protection of the religious minorities.
Mr. Sekulow, do you believe that the international law that applies against religious genocide in support of religious freedom, that ISIL is in violation?
Absolutely. There's no doubt about it, Senator. And something that you said, which has struck me personally today as I think about it, is when you talk about the intergenerational conflict. I just became a grandfather. And the idea that my grandson could be fighting this conflict, and the fact is ISIS does not only ignores any rule of law with regard to religious freedom, they certainly don't in any way comply with the laws of armed conflict, as you would know very well. This is an organization that has to be crushed. There's not, as you said, not a negotiating point. It has to be crushed, eliminated, and they're growing. And the fact that Boko Haram has just pledged an allegiance to them, I think, is even more troubling.
What would you recommend this committee do regarding the nation states that you mentioned that you believe are involved in persecution?
Well, especially to nation states that are allies of the United States, I think we have to, I would urge the Congress to take concrete action, and that is funding, which is the lifeblood of a lot of these governments, is put with the precondition. And that precondition is there has to be an affirmance and a compliance with international charters that they have signed, whether it's the Universal Declaration of Human Rights or other international obligations, and that we have the ability to deny those funds if, in fact, the government does not comply.
Mr. Perkins, do you agree with that, and what would you suggest we do?
I do. I agree wholeheartedly. And I think you're taking a great first step. I don't want to in any way undercut the value of this committee hearing. Last year, when Mariam Ibrahim, the Sudanese Christian woman, was being detained, we worked with members, and in the House, a committee hearing was held to highlight her situation and what was happening in Sudan. And 4 hours later, she was finally released. So I think just the fact that you're holding this hearing is sending a message that this issue is one of great importance. Now, I agree with you. I think we cannot underestimate the influence of a strong, trained, well-equipped military. I think the best diplomatic corps has a military that is ready and waiting in the wings. And I think we have to address that aspect of this. You're absolutely right. But we do have the diplomatic aspect, and we have the special envoy, the bill that Senator Blunt moved through that remains vacant. We need to have that position filled. We need to have all the players on the field,
right,
if in fact we want to prevail in this.
Thank you all very much.